Good evening. Tonight, we're taking you to the front lines of an economic battle that affects every American, whether you realize it or not. At this very moment, hundreds of container ships are anchored off America's coasts, unable to dock or unload their precious cargo. These massive floating cities are packed with everything from electronics and clothing to car parts and furniture, goods that are now stuck in a logistical nightmare, unable to reach their destinations. Our nation's busiest ports have ground to a halt, with over 325,000 containers delayed, representing billions of dollars in goods. The ripple effects are being felt far beyond the docks. This isn't just about shipping delays. It's about the tangled, fragile global supply chain that brings products to your doorstep, connecting manufacturers, suppliers, and consumers across continents. The bottleneck is sending shockwaves through the economy, driving up prices, threatening small businesses, and leaving store shelves empty. Truck drivers wait for loads that never arrive, and business owners scramble to keep up with rising costs. From Los Angeles to Savannah, ports are overwhelmed. Cranes stand idle, yards are overflowing, and ships wait offshore for days or even weeks, unable to unload. Experts point to aggressive trade tariffs and shifting global trade policies as key catalysts, reshaping the flow of commerce and setting the stage for today's crisis. The effects are being felt in every corner of the country. The impact is real and immediate. Delayed deliveries, empty shelves, and rising costs for nearly everything from groceries to electronics. Shoppers are left frustrated and families are forced to make tough choices. This is more than just a headline, it's a crisis with profound implications for families, workers, and the entire U.S. economy. The uncertainty is affecting daily life in ways big and small. Tonight, we'll break down how we got here, what's happening now, and what it all means for you and your community. We'll explore the causes, the consequences, and the possible solutions. Stay with us as we unravel the story behind America's gridlocked ports and discover how this crisis is shaping the future of trade and daily life. Let's connect the dots together, from high-level policy decisions to the products that end up in your home and the journey they take to get there. To understand today's port chaos, we need to look back at America's long history with tariffs. Tariffs, taxes on imports, were once a primary tool to protect U.S. industries and generate revenue. The infamous Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930, meant to shield American businesses, instead triggered global retaliation and deepened the Great Depression. After World War II, the U.S. led efforts to lower trade barriers, fueling decades of economic growth and the rise of global supply chains. Free trade became the norm, with both parties supporting lower tariffs and open markets. This allowed for the just-in-time supply chains we rely on today. But in recent years, that consensus fractured. Tariffs returned to the forefront, disrupting the global flow of goods. The stage was set for the supply chain crisis we're witnessing now. History shows trade policy decisions have far-reaching, sometimes unintended consequences. The Trump administration's 2018 tariffs on Chinese goods marked a sharp break from decades of free trade. Citing unfair practices, the U.S. imposed sweeping tariffs. China retaliated, targeting key American exports. This tit-for-tat trade war created uncertainty and forced companies to rethink their supply chains. Businesses scrambled to import goods before new tariffs hit, causing shipping surges and straining ports. After tariffs took effect, import volumes plummeted, creating a volatile boom-and-bust cycle. The logistics system, built for predictability, was thrown into chaos. Many tariffs remain in place today, compounding pandemic disruptions and surging demand. The result, a perfect storm that pushed the supply chain to its breaking point. The seeds of today's port gridlock were sown in these trade battles. The crisis didn't happen overnight, it's years in the making. Let's see how this chaos plays out on the ground. At the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, handling 40% of U.S. imports, the crisis is visible. Dozens of ships, each a quarter-mile long, wait offshore for days. Container yards are packed to capacity. There's no room to unload more. The flow of goods in far outpaces the ability to move them out. A shortage of truck drivers and chassis means containers sit for weeks before pickup. Warehouses are full, creating another choke point. Truckers wait hours, sometimes days, for a single load. The entire logistics network is paralyzed from ship to store shelf. Workers are exhausted, moving fewer loads for less pay. Labor shortages and burnout deepen the crisis. The gridlock at our ports is a human and economic emergency. The numbers are staggering. Over 325,000 shipping containers are delayed for U.S. businesses and consumers. Lined up, they'd stretch from New York to Miami. Wait times for a berth have soared from less than a day to nearly a month. Containers now sit in terminals for over 9 days, triple the pre-crisis average. Shipping a container from Asia to the US West Coast has jumped from $2,000 to $15,000. Importers pay millions in extra fees for delays beyond their control. Ports are operating at 110% capacity. There's simply no more space. This isn't a staffing issue, it's a structural breakdown. The entire supply chain is out of sync, and ports are the most visible symptom. The system is stretched far beyond its limits. The port crisis isn't just local, it's disrupting global trade and hitting your wallet. When US ports clog, ships can't return to Asia, reducing global shipping capacity and driving up costs worldwide. For consumers, this means higher prices and empty shelves. Soaring shipping costs are passed from importers to retailers to you. Inflation rises as the cost of goods, from sofas to toys, climbs. Shortages and delays frustrate shoppers and businesses alike. Just-in-time inventory systems are breaking down, halting production lines. Even American-made goods are affected as they rely on imported parts. Small businesses are hit hardest, unable to absorb costs or charter ships. Many face extinction as inventory runs out and costs soar. The crisis threatens Main Street and livelihoods across the country. This is a story of economic pain felt in every home and business. The ongoing supply chain chaos is pushing many American businesses right to the edge of survival. Across the country, owners are facing unprecedented challenges, with delays, shortages, and rising costs threatening their livelihoods. Big retailers with deep pockets are chartering private ships to bypass port gridlock and keep their shelves stocked. But for small and mid-sized companies, this simply isn't an option. They're left waiting, unable to compete with the giants. One furniture company owner told us that millions of dollars in inventory are stuck offshore, unable to reach customers. As angry calls pour in and storage fees mount, the pressure is relentless. "We're paying to store goods we can't even access," she said, her frustration echoing that of countless others in her position. For decades, companies moved manufacturing overseas to cut costs. Now those decisions are backfiring, leaving supply chains tangled and vulnerable. Tariffs, intended to bring jobs back to America, have instead forced many businesses to shift production to other countries, creating new complications and costs. The pandemic only made things worse, exposing just how fragile and interconnected the global supply system really is. The political debate is fierce. Some defend tariffs as necessary protection, while others argue they're a costly mistake that's hurting American businesses and consumers alike. The current administration faces tough choices. Should they hold the line on tariffs, or ease them to relieve pressure on struggling companies and families? For many businesses, survival now hangs in the balance. Every day brings new uncertainty, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The crisis is forcing a painful rethinking of global sourcing strategies as companies scramble to adapt and build resilience for the future. The future of American business is at stake, and the decisions made today will shape the economy for years to come. To make sense of this crisis, we spoke with Dr. Evelyn Reed, a global trade expert who has spent decades analyzing the world's most intricate supply networks. Her insights help us unravel the tangled web of causes behind today's disruptions. She says the pandemic exposed vulnerabilities created by years of tariff-driven instability, revealing just how fragile the global system had become. The supply chain was already running hot, Dr. Reed explains, operating at maximum capacity with little margin for error. The pandemic sent it into shock, grinding operations to a halt almost overnight and leaving ports eerily silent. Tariff deadlines caused artificial surges, overwhelming ports with sudden waves of cargo, then abrupt drops that whiplashed the system and left planners scrambling. Logistics networks need predictability. Constant shocks broke their resilience, making it impossible to recover before the next crisis hit. Now, even if ships could unload instantly, there's nowhere to put the containers. Warehouses are full, drivers are scarce, and the entire system is jammed at every turn. The problem is systemic, touching every link in the chain, from overseas factories to local delivery trucks, and affecting businesses and consumers alike. Decades of just-in-time efficiency left no room for error, prioritizing speed and cost over flexibility and resilience. The crisis is a wake-up call. America needs major investment in infrastructure and smarter trade policy to build a system that can withstand future shocks. Trade decisions must be coordinated with logistics to avoid future chaos, ensuring that policy changes don't create new bottlenecks. The lesson is clear. Policy choices have real-world consequences for how goods move, impacting everything from store shelves to job security. Fixing this will take time, investment, and a new approach that values both efficiency and resilience, with a focus on long-term stability. The stakes for our economy couldn't be higher. The choices we make now will shape the future of global trade and America's place in it. So where do we go from here? The port crisis is far from over. The 325,000 delayed containers represent broken promises, business stress, and a threat to recovery. Short-term fixes, like 24/7 port operations, help, but deeper solutions are needed. Clearing the backlog requires coordination across shipping, trucking, and rail. Long-term, America must modernize its ports and invest in infrastructure. The crisis also sparks debate about reshoring, bringing manufacturing closer to home for resilience. This transition will take years and may raise costs, but it could prevent future breakdowns. The jammed ports remind us how interconnected our world is and how policy shapes our daily lives. There are no easy answers, but understanding the crisis is the first step. We'll keep following this story, bringing you updates and expert insights. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts below and stay tuned.